Hey girl, hey, it's me, Dymond Lachey, and I am back with another video. Today's video is going to be a girl talk. We're going to be talking about the 5 love languages. So go grab you a drink and come back and let's get into some things. Whenever I say get into some things, I feel like I sound like Nicki Minaj. If you never heard the Pink Print radio, girl, what are you doing? Because we about to get into some things. So I'm drinking a strawberry daiquiri with tequila. Yeah, I typically put tequila or whiskey in my daiquiris, and today I did tequila. Hopefully my heater is not too loud and you guys can hear me, because y'all know when audio is trash, who watches the video? So today I want to talk to you guys about the 5 love languages. I was first introduced to the 5 love languages back in 2016, and you know, when you learn something and then when it starts making sense, it's like, what you talking about with this? But so when I learned about it, I took the test, and my love language is what it was then. It still is now. They say that your primary and secondary love languages stay with you, and that's true for mine. So when I was in the store and I saw the book that I had been wanting to read, I had to get this book, and I read it and I got enlightened all over again. So Gary Chapman is the author of the book. He breaks down the 5 love languages. He talks about the romantic, the lovey-dovey phase. He talks about how to love people in their love languages, and it's just so good. It's like 200 pages, so it's a quick read, easy read. Girl, I was taking notes, highlighting, because knowing the 5 love languages and knowing your love language sometimes isn't enough. Sometimes you need someone to like break it down, and that's exactly what he did. So the 5 love languages are acts of service, physical touch, words of affirmation, quality time, and receiving gifts. Everyone has a primary and a secondary love language. My primary is receiving gifts, and then my secondary is acts of service. Whenever people hear like your love language is receiving gifts, they automatically think like, oh, you're a gold digger, or oh, you want somebody with a whole lot of money, or oh, you are materialistic. And that's not really the case, because a gift can be anywhere between, you know, a bouquet of roses to a Snicker bar. Like, it can be anything. It doesn't have to be bags and shoes, which, girl, we love bags and shoes, but it doesn't have to be. And that's where people really get it wrong. It's not about the gift, it's more about the thought. Like, you thought about me to give me a gift, you know? So for me, receiving gifts is important, not just for holidays, not just for birthdays, not just for like those special moments or anything. It's good for like just because it's Wednesday, I bought you this. Just because I thought about you, I got you this for me. Or, you know, if you in the mall, you want to give me a bag, you can give me a bag too. That's my primary. And then my secondary love language is acts of service. So get in my car, you see my car is dirty, get my car washed. They don't like, or you know, you come over and you see like, oh, I'm missing this, let me grab it for her. Or, you know, every morning I go to Starbucks and get coffee, go get me a gift card to Starbucks, or get me an e-gift card and say, yo, your coffee's on me this morning. Guys, it is so simple. Like, people be overthinking it, and it's really not that deep. Service that I need to do anyway, you're acting on it. And then the other ones are like self-explanatory. Physical touch, just like hand holding, hugging, kissing, being up under that person, being intimate with that person. Quality time, not just being with the person, but really being in that moment, not being on your phone, but really taking time to like be with that person. And then words of affirmation, so that's like giving compliments, telling the person verbally that I love you, verbally telling that person that I affirm, you know, affirmations verbally. So I suggest everybody, boy, girl, single, married, whatever, to take the love language test to identify what your primary and your secondary love language is. A lot of people always be like, oh no, I need all of them, or all of them are my love language, which is okay, maybe you like all of them, but everyone has a primary and a secondary. So identify what that is by either process elimination or look at the way that you love other people. What I learned is I always love people in my love language because it's my first nature. So I'd always love someone with how I want to be loved. And typically when you date, it's rare that you date someone with your same love language. One of my mistakes that I always made when dating was that I would love someone else in my love language, and then when they say like we're not connecting, I'm confused because I'm like, why? What do you mean? I'm loving you in my love language, so how are you not receiving it? But it's like when you're loving someone in your love language, to them they could be receiving it as you're speaking Japanese. Literally speaking Japanese, like you're speaking Chinese. I don't know what you're saying. It's like two people trying to communicate. And it could be for the other person as well. Like you could feel like, what happened? Like, what's going on? And it could be that you guys are not speaking each other's love languages. I swear by love languages. I wrote a blog post on it. If you are not subscribed to my blog, Dymond Diary, it'll be in the description bar. And I wrote a blog post on like why they are important and why you need to know what yours is before even going into dating. And then once you date, learn what your partner's is, either by taking the test, asking them, or just, you know, trial and error. So in the book, Gary Chapman goes into how, you know, love takes work. Love is not just gonna always be the butterflies and the goo goo gaga whatever. That phase is gonna end, and once that phase ends, you have to like choose to love your partner, whoever that is. And he said like it's gonna take work. Learning someone's love language and really trying to love them in that language is hard. Like I was saying before, I used to always love people in my love language. Two problems with that is, I'm always overextending myself when it's not being reciprocated. So, you know, even for like friendships, if I see, oh, my friend needs this, or oh, my boyfriend needs this, or oh, this needs this, I'm always that person like, oh, let me get it. I'm always doing more than getting. Like I always get the short end of the stick. I was loving people and I was doing so much for that person. I was enabling them, and they weren't doing anything for me, because guys be like, oh no, she got it, she gonna do it. So what? Do it, you know? The second problem with that is, yeah, my love language could be gifts, but yours could be physical touch. And if yours is physical touch and mine is gifts, and I'm always gifting you, it's gonna be a disconnect, because you're gonna be like, yo, I want a hug, I don't want a gift. In previous relationships, I've for sure learned like, stop loving people in your love language. And it talks about this in the book. It literally breaks down each love language in ways that you can love that love language. And he gives like stories of his clients that he worked with, and he just helps you see like everyone's love language. If I'm dating you and I am really good at having acts of service, but you require me to be quality time, it's gonna be hard for me to love in that language. But if I want to be with you, I'm gonna put forth that effort, right? And I think if more people did that, relationships wouldn't have problems, because your love tank is full, you're happy, I'm happy, we're both full. Growing up, my mom, you know, she hugged me, she kissed me. My mom told me like, you're beautiful. My mom and my grandmother, they really loved me with all 5 love languages. But what really grasped me was receiving gifts, because my mom always gifted me. And then acts of service. My mom really will do anything. Mom really thoughtful, so that's how I think that became my love language. Another thing that Gary talks about in the book is how in the beginning, that first year, 1 to 2 years, it's just that like lovey-dovey and butterflies, fireworks, and you're just all lovey-dovey. But once you come down off that high and y'all are settled in, it's time to choose to love that person. The one that I scored the lowest on is physical touch. I'm not really a toucher. Like, I mean, I'm affectionate, but it's not my primary love language. So if I'm dating someone whose primary love language is physical touch, I'm going to physically have to force myself to hold your hand, or force myself to give you a hug just because. And it's just like that. It's going to sound robotic to you at first, but until you get the hang of it, then it's going to be like, okay, I can do this, or then it's going to be second nature. Another thing that Gary talked about in the book was that a lot of people think that physical touch is their love language because they love intimate sex, you know, all of that. But that is not enough. He said if you were to remove the intimacy, if you are still into that physical touch, that physical connection, that physical handhold, if we're at the table, touching your knee, touching your arm, touchy, if that's not you, once you remove the intimacy, then that might not be your love language. I hope y'all are like thinking this is really big, because to me this is huge. Like, this is golden. I have friends who were dating people and the guy was taking care of them, like financially and taking care of the house. All she had to do was just be at home, cook dinner, whatever. He was that traditional role. So yeah, it was acts of service, so she didn't have to do anything. But her love language was quality time, so he was always at work providing for her. But that wasn't enough. She wanted the quality time, especially with like words of affirmation. If that's not your primary love language, it's going to be hard to be like giving compliments. Another chapter that I really loved was where Gary was talking about how people feel like, oh, that person doesn't love me anymore, when in reality their love tank is just empty. This whole book was just like really good, and it really breaks down how everybody is different, especially with dating. You have lint on my shirt? You have lint on my shirt. Sorry. Especially with dating, everyone is different. Like, what I like, you might not like. What you like, I might not like. So he has like activities for each love language, so that if you're dating someone or you're married to someone whose love language is different than yours, he literally gives you tips for how to love that person. So for example, if your spouse's love language is quality time, ask your spouse for a list of 5 activities that he or she would enjoy doing with you. Don't assume you know. Make plans to do one of them each month for the next 5 months. If money is an issue, space the freebies in between the we can't afford this events. Look, it's 5 tips for each love language. This book just really broke down so many things that I already knew. Like, I already knew love languages was a thing, but now I'm literally like pointing out on people. When I hear people's problems, I'm like, oh, you're nagging him to take out the trash because you want an act of service. Got it. Like, that's me now, because I'm like, wow, it's so small that if people just saw what the love language was of their person and they were loving that person that way, it could save relationships from so many turmoil, so many disagreements, so many arguments. Because you could feel like she's nagging, but really she's crying out for your attention. Or she could feel like he's always want to be touching you, but it's like, girl, that's his love language. Fire. Alright, you guys, I'm gonna end the video here because I feel like I'm rambling, but I really do hope you learned something that you didn't know. I hope you can go grab the book if you are into reading. If not, they have an audio book. He has the 5 love languages for kids, so that you can learn your kids' love language if you're a parent. I do think if you're a parent, you should love your kid in all 5 love languages. That way they can know how to love people in other love languages. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you in the next one, and let me know in the comments, what is your love language? And if you don't know, take the test and then come back and let me know. Okay?